Welcome back, class. Thanks for tuning in. Hope that everyone's safe and healthy and that your family's healthy as well. We're going to be going into the Google form this week. It's part 3 of week 7, and we're going to be, going through the matrix answers from the Google form. So let's jump right into my iPad here and kind of see what we have. So what you're looking at here is my screen for my iPad. Matrices are just a way of storing numbers into a grid-like situation where there's rows and columns. We kind of have this here where this is still the same label that we had on Monday, where rows are the first number of the dimension and the second number is columns. This particular matrix happens to be one row by 2 columns, but it can be any size you want. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding, subtracting, and then doing some type of product. And I know that was just kind of the last 2 problems we had in the Google form. We're multiplying. That's what we're going to be doing next week as well. It's kind of my main focus for next week is just products the entire time, so hopefully get some more practice with that. And then the last week, because we only have 2 weeks left, is to really go through and talk about, why we have matrices and like what the biggest purpose of it would be. That's what we're going to be looking at. But again, let's jump right in and let's take a look at these first problems. I think I had 4 or 5 problems, something like that. We're going to kind of jump right in here. So this is the thing that you saw in the Google form. This is the image that you had. There's 4 matrices. There's A, B, C, and D. And what we're looking at is different things. So like the first problem that we had to add these 2 matrices together. Now what I mean by 2 of them, I picked 2 of them. So I picked I think the first one was A and D. I'm looking at the Google form right off to my side. So A and D. So I'm adding this matrix and this matrix. So to add these, they just have to be the same size. The good news is they are the same. They're both 3 by 3 matrices. 3 rows by 3 columns. So we can just add. So if I'm going to add, I'm going to find the sum of these 2 matrices, you just add entry for entry. So like for instance, to that first upper corner, 1 and a -2, if I add those together, I get a -1. Okay? If I go to the next one, the first row, second column, I add these 2 together. Well, 3 and a -2 makes 1 if I add those 2 together. If I go to the next one, I have a 5 and a 7. If I add those, that makes 12. That's how you add these together. That's as easy as how it is to do matrix addition. Now I'm going to go to the second row. I don't even have to mark it. I'm just going to do that. -2 and -2 make -4. 6 and 0 add to make 6, and an 8 and an 8 makes 16. Let's go to the third row now. -1 and the 2. I'm going to have a 1 if I add those 2 together. -5 and -7 make -12. And 3 and 6 make 9. So there you go. That is the final matrix. It's still by 3 by 3. When you add or subtract matrices together, they stay the same size. You can't add or subtract them if they're different dimensions, like they don't match. You can't add them. It's not possible. So you get an error. But again, we talked to main purposes of this is usually computer sciences and storing in stuff into memory and how that's recalled. It's really what it's used for anymore. But let's go to the next problem when you erase these markings. The second problem, we had to add B and C together. So those are the 2 that I skipped here. Alright, so B and C. Okay, so second one, B plus C. Now again, we have to make sure that to begin with, these matrices are the same size, B and C. They're both 3 by 3, so we can still add and subtract these together. So we are going to be taking the sum of these, that means to add. So I'm just going to add entry for entry, so 3 and 4 makes 7. I'm going to add the 8 and 5 together to make 13. I'm going to add the 3 and the -2 together to make 1. So there's the top row. Top row, column for column. The next row, I have a -2 and a 0, so that makes -2. I'm adding those together. 12 and 6 make 18. And 8 and 0 make 8. I add those, so that's the second row in every column. And the third row, -4 and -3 make -7 if I add those. -3 and 2 make -1 if I add those. And 0 and -3 add to make -3. So there you go. There's your 2 matrices added together. So now, the next 2 problems, we're going to be finding the difference between these. Alright, so now let me start over here. Okay, so we're on to finding the difference between A and C. So A minus C. Now it is important when you subtract, it is actually important to know which one comes first and which one comes second. It's not a free-for-all. You actually have to go in order because when you take A minus C, you know, you might get negative numbers as opposed to positive numbers because it matters which number comes first when you subtract. It's not commutative. You can't switch numbers around. You get different answers. But I'm going A minus C because on the form that it said subtract matrix A and then C. So 1 minus 4. So again, these matrices are the same size, so I can subtract. I'm going to go 1 minus the 4, and I'm going to get negative 3. Next one, I have a 3 minus 8. That's negative 5. And the last one is 5 minus 3, which is 2. So there's your top row. Second row, negative 2 minus negative 2, so that'd be negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. 6 minus 12 is negative 6. 8 minus 8, which is 0. Perfect. Last row, negative 1 minus a negative 4, so it'd be negative 1 plus 4. I'm going to get a 3. You can see my wife in the background there. Can't see her. Then I have negative 5 minus a negative 3, so it's negative 5 plus 3, which is negative 2. And then 3 minus 0, which is 3. So there you go. That's how you subtract the two matrices together. Let's go to our next problem now. If I'm not going too fast for you. Hopefully these are pretty easy, I think. So let's go to the next one we're going to be subtracting. So next one we have B minus D. So matrix B minus D here. Okay, so we're going to subtract these two matrices together. So B minus the D. So they are both 3 by 3, so I can actually subtract these. So 3 minus a negative 2, so it's 3 plus 2, which is 5. 5 minus a negative 2, so 5 plus 2, which is 7. And negative 2 minus 7 is negative 9. So negative 2 minus 7 more. Next row, 0 minus a negative 2 is 0 plus 2, which is 2. 6 minus 0, which is 6. And 0 minus 8, which is negative 8. So that's why right there, there's a perfect example why it's important to know like the order that you're going. The next one, negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. 2 minus a negative 7, and that's 2 plus 7, which is 9. And a negative 3 minus 6 more is negative 9. So there you go. Okay, so that ended the easy ones. Now what we're going into is the tough matrices, where we have to multiply. This is where it gets really messy. This is the part where I'm going to spend probably most of my time just doing the math here. Okay, so you can probably hear my saw to the background, so hopefully it's not too distracting. Let's go to the last two. So what we're going to be doing is matrix multiplication. This is the thing we're going to do in the next video as well. We're going to really focus on these, and I'll try to give you different versions. We don't always have to have matrices that are the same size when you multiply. That's the key. I'm picking two matrices that are the same size. I think right now it's good to see that in the beginning, and then we can see how it changes later. So what we have here is we're going to be multiplying B times A. So matrix B times A. So they can just write B, A next to each other. But this one comes first, and then this one's second. Now when you do this, it's row, so B is first. So row by column. Now if you need to, because I know like this is going to get confusing with having A there. If you want to write matrix A over here, that's fine. Maybe you want to see this like that, so it makes sense like why we're doing this. Okay, so it's row for column. That's how it always works. That's how I get entry for entry. This matrix will still be 3 by 3. It's just, now if you notice why I'm writing this really big, is because when we do this, it's row and column, and that gives you that first entry in the upper left corner. This is a lot of math. Matrix multiplication is super hard. It's when you copy something, right? You're copying like one item to another spot on your hard drive. It takes a lot of space. It takes a lot of time to actually copy things. It's because of matrix multiplication that it's compiling and writing things literally like brick for brick so that everything matches up. So row, column. So 3 times the 1 plus the 5 times the negative 2, and then adding the 2 times the negative 1. That number, whatever you get there, that's the upper left corner. The upper left corner. The row 1, column 1 number. That thing right there. So I know that's an easy number. It's 3 plus negative 10 plus negative 2. You can get that, and that's that number right there. The second row number, the number that goes right here in this matrix, is made by that row, and now this column, the second column. That's the idea. So this is why this is tough. That's why this matrix multiplication takes so much space and time, is because now we're going to the first row, second column. So we're going 3 times the 3, adding the 5 times the 6, and we're going the 2 times, and we're adding, let me get rid of that, got a little messy here, and now we're adding the 2 times the negative 5. That's that second row, or sorry, first row, second column number. And then same with the last column in this matrix. It's that first row, last column. So now we're going, I'm going to change this eraser so it's a little bit smaller. So now we're going to this last column here. We're going to this column over here. So we're going 3 times the 5. We're going the 5 times the 8. And we're going the, 2 times the 3. 2 times 3. Oh, it's really hard to see that 3. Okay. Okay, so that's that last entry there. Now, when we go to the next row, so the next row now, let's get rid of this. All right, so now we're going to the next one. So now we're the second row, and now we're going column for column again. So that's why this gets tedious. So we're doing the 0 times the 1 plus the 6 times the negative 2, and then the 0 times the negative 1. So that's second row, first column. Let's do it again. Second row, second column now. So now we're on to the second column. So 0 times the 3, the 6 times the 6, and the 0 times the negative 5. So second row, second column numbers. And now we're going to the third column now. So second row, third column. So 0 times the 5. We're going the, now we're going the 6 times the 8. And we're going the 0 times the 3. 0 times 3. And you can see it off to the side there. Sorry, I ran out of space. And now, finally, we're on to the last row. So last row, and we're going through each column one at a time. And hopefully this is starting to make sense. And that's where each of these entries would be. So negative 3 times the 1, 2 times the negative 2, and put too many parentheses there. And what are we on the last one? Negative 3 times the negative 1. So that's last row, first column. All right, let's keep going here. So now we're taking the last row, so negative 3 times the second column, so times 3, the 2 times the 6, and the, what is this, negative 3 times the negative 5. So again, I'm doing the second column now. And now the last one, so negative 3 times the last column, that's the 5, the 2 times the 8, and the last one, which is negative 3 times the 3, blah, 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 times the 3. And each of these would be each of those entries. Now, if you want to write down what each of those numbers are, you can do that. That's fine, and that would be each column, each row, and that would be your final 3x3 matrix. We have one more to go. This is the last one now. Okay, let's get rid of all this. If you want to do all that math, you can pause it and go through and check all that math, but we're going to go right to the last problem here. All right. Takes a while when you matrix multiply. Okay, last one. Okay, so we have D times C. Okay, so matrix D times C. Hopefully that my camera isn't blocking that a little bit. Okay. Okay, D times matrix C. Now, I'm going to put matrix C over here just so you can see this. That's the 4, 8, 3, then negative 2, 12, and 8, and negative 4, negative 3, and 0. So D times C. And it does matter which letter is marked first. It's kind of like subtracting. It does matter. It would change answers in certain cases. All right, so D times C. So I think I got these all marked now. I got C over here. So again, we're going to do the same math as before. We're going to get a 3x3 matrix because I did pick matrices that are the same size. Again, we are going row, column. That's how we're doing this, and we're going to put every entry. And I'll get you started, and hopefully this makes sense. And if you don't want to watch the rest, you don't have to. But let's keep going here. So the first row, so negative 2 times the 4, we're going to be adding the -2 times the -2, and then adding the 7 times the -4. So again, it's row, column. Let's go to the next one. So now we're, this makes sense. Now we're going on to the second column now. So first row, second column number. So that's the -2 times the 8, the -2 times the 12, and the 7 times the -3. So again, that's first row, second column now. And the last column. So now we're on to the last column. So first row, first row, third column. So again, -2 times the 3, the -2 times the 8, and we're going to get the 7 times the 0. I'm running out of space here. And the, what is it, 7 times 0. Okay, 7 times 0, there we go. Okay, there's your first row, every number there. So there's the upper left corner, upper right, upper middle, and then upper right. Let's go to the second row now. Okay, finally we get to venture on and try something else now. So, second row, first column. So that'll be that middle, so second row, right here, this entry right there. So, going through the math here, so we have second row, so this is -2 times the 4, the 0 times the -2, and the 8 times the -4. So again, that's second row, first column. Okay, now we're going second row, second column now. So we're moving on to the second column here. So second row, so that's -2 times the 8, the 0 times the 12, and the 8 times the -3. There's the middle, so that's second row, second column, middle number. And over to the right, so second row now, third column. So -2 times the 3, we have the 0 times the 8, and we have the 8 times the 0. There you go. So it's the second row, third column. And now the last one. Now this is where, this corner right here is going to be taken up a little bit. But I think you can figure this out. So we're moving on to the third row, first column. Okay, and that's going to be right there, if you can see that. Oh, I guess you can kind of see it from the camera. My face is kind of right in the way, sorry. All right, so third row, first column. Third row, first column. Third row, first column. There we go. Okay, let's go into the next one now. Third row, second column. Third row, second column. Third row, second column. Sorry, we got alarms going off here. Apologies. Okay. And the last number, the absolute last one, third row, final column. So third row, so 2 times the 3, the -7 times the 8, and the 6 times the 0. 0. Got it all spaced. And there you go. And if you want to find each of these numbers, that'll be your final matrix. Again, thank you for all those who are actively participating in some of these volunteer activities. I really appreciate it. We only have a couple weeks left. I'll be this next week's videos will be on matrix multiplication again, but I'll be doing different size matrices, so you can kind of see how that works. And I won't pick so many problems. I think I'll only pick about 3, and they won't be these sizes. I know it's kind of hard to multiply a 3x3 matrix, so I'll pick different sizes, but I think it's important you get to see that. And then we'll really focus on the last week, the major importance, why we do matrices. There's another huge goal for this. But again, thank you. If you haven't been taking the time to do some of those other activities, go back. I've left them online. You can go back and see kind of those other previous videos I put on my website. But again, priority here is take care of yourself, take care of each other, stay healthy, stay safe, and I hope to see you real soon.